Today is April 30th. I'd like to welcome our friends from Do It and my colleagues in order of their arrival. To my far right, Councilor Michelle Wool. I'm losing it. To my far left, Councilor Josh Zakem, and to my immediate right, Councilor Anissa Asabi George. I'd like to remind folks this is a public hearing, both being broadcast and recorded on Comcast Channel 8, RCN 82, and Verizon 1964, and streamed at boston.gov/city-council-TV. I'd ask folks in the chamber to silence their electronic devices. At the conclusion of the department's presentation and questions and answers from my colleagues, we will take public testimony. There is a sign-in sheet to my left. I ask that you state your name, affiliation, residence, and please check off the box if you wish to testify. We are here, as I said earlier, Department of Innovation and Technology budget overview as they pertain to dockets 0559 through 0563. Orders for the fiscal year 19 operating budget, including annual appropriations for departmental operations, annual appropriation for the school department, and appropriation for other post-employment benefits, appropriation for certain transportation and public realm improvements, and appropriation for certain park improvements, as well as dockets 0564 through 0565, capital budget appropriations, including loan orders and lease and purchase agreements. Before I hand it over to Patricia, who is my friend, my neighbor, and a constituent, I'd like to just reach out to thank you all on behalf of my colleagues at the City Council and central staff, especially Kerry Jordan, who works very closely with you all. The help desk, the network, telecom, from helping us when we're in a jam, especially during the beginning of the year, the new year transitions. The digital team for their patience when it comes to ever-changing updates. Broadband and cable, I think that speaks to you, Mike Lynch, Dave Burt, Patricia Collins, Dennis Dutra, and the whole team for helping us out while the chamber was under construction. So I want to thank you again for being here, and I will hand it over to Patricia. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm here today as the Interim Chief Information Officer for the City of Boston to testify about Mayor Walsh's proposed FY19 budget for the Department of Innovation and Technology, also known as Do It. I'd like to introduce the members of my team here today, with me today. Mike Lynch is the Director of Broadband and Cable, and Eddie Pinkerton is our Director of Operations. Mike, Eddie, and our other members of Do It's leadership team oversee the work we do every day and have put a great deal of effort into planning the projects that are included in this year's budget recommendation. I'd like to first share some information in the mission of my department, some of our recent accomplishments, and the upcoming priorities reflected in the proposed budget. Our department's mission is to help the city deliver great service to our residents and businesses by equipping our departments with the technology and the support they need. We also provide digital services directly to constituents. Additionally, we strive to create a learning culture for our employees that encourages smart risk-taking, rapid evaluation and iteration, and encourages adaptability in the face of a changing technology landscape. We have 5 focus areas. The first is core infrastructure. We manage the networks, servers, data centers, phones, and desktop computers that are the backbone of the city's technology efforts. We aim to deliver infrastructure that is secure, modern, and resilient. The second area is enterprise applications. We support the application systems that the city uses to run its business, from the ERP and tax systems to manage the city's finances, to the CRM system that supports our 311 system, and the back office systems that sit behind many customer transactions. Our goal is to equip city employees with great technology to assist them in delivering great services to our residents. The third area is digital engagement and service delivery. We run the city's website, social media program, and many of our mobile applications. We aim to make information and services available via digital services and deliver a friendly, convenient, and accessible experience. Our constituents increasingly expect great digital services when they interact with city government. The fourth area is data and analytics. We help the city use data to improve quality of life and the effectiveness of government operations. We build dashboards, create analytical tools, and provide operational support to help departments use data to improve outcome for residents. And lastly, broadband and digital equity. We work towards the goal of a city where every resident and business has accessible to affordable broadband internet and the skills they need to succeed in the digital world. Our work centers on encouraging competition in the broadband market and supporting programs that assist our unconnected residents. Given our broad portfolio of responsibilities, I won't go into detail on all the projects that we've worked on over the past year, but I will highlight a few of them, and these are our major accomplishments. Our data and analytics continues to develop innovative programs and improve performance across all parts of city government. This year, we officially launched Analyze Boston site, the City of Boston's open data portal. The site curates more than 100 data sets and pairs them with tools for data exploration and analysis. We are confident this will promote transparency in our operations, facilitate collaboration between the city and community partners, inspire economic development, and educate the public about how to use data to better understand life in Boston. The Enterprise Applications team launched an online payment portal for code enforcement. The team customized the online software from our Infor product and built a portal allowing residents who have received a code violation the ability to pay their violation online. This is a continued effort to improve the tools we provide to our users by providing new capability that didn't exist before. This summer, we look forward to the completion of the migration of our Boston 311 system to Salesforce. Enhancements have been made to our call center to better capture calls more effectively and efficiently. And in addition, we're providing our field force significant improvements on the back end to allow for stronger communication. Also this year, we hired Jeanette Falvey, the city's Chief Digital Officer. Jeanette leads the citywide team, which continues to partner with all city departments. Some accomplishments in FY18 include an effort to continue to inform our residents. The team designed and released new information both online and on paper, from a new page for the Recovery Services Department to a food resource map. Our Now Hiring series has highlighted female EMTs, firefighters, crossing guards, and other positions, and social media posts that have distributed critical information proactively ahead of serious storms to lighter moments, even featuring animals waiting for adoption. Boston.gov officially turned 1 year old on July 20th. In just 1 year, the site has grown from getting 450,000 views a week with over 160 staff members across the city trained by the digital team to contribute to content. Our cybersecurity team continues to work hard to protect our systems, information, and people from hackers who are becoming more and more sophisticated. This year, the team provided a cybersecurity awareness course to all city employees. The City of Boston also won the Multi-State Information Sharing and Analysis Center Best of the Web Award for our cybersecurity page on boston.gov. Our core infrastructure team have completed the migration of the city's backup data to an off-site location. This location is off the city's power grid. In our continuing effort to improve the city's resiliency, the site was picked to be located off the city's power grid and moved out of the basement of the City Hall across the street from the shoreline of the Shawmut Peninsula. Last year, we also reached a second milestone in the licensing process for Verizon Fios to begin selling their Fios service beyond Roxbury, Dorchester, and West Roxbury to more than half the city. For the first time, people in these households have real choice when it comes to broadband and cable TV service. We're hearing from residents in these areas that Verizon and Comcast are aggressively competing for business, offering lower prices and enhanced service options. And our team worked really hard to increase participation in procurements in departments that the department has released. They've transformed the procurement process to be more accessible, which in return we've seen an increase of applicants from women and minority business owners, more startups, and more innovative partners of all kinds. This helps us achieve our goal of getting the best solutions at the best value. There are many other projects that we've worked on this past year. A summary of these have been provided to the members of the council. As we look forward to FY19, we're excited at what we can accomplish with this budget and the support of the council. I'd like to highlight a few of those projects. Cybersecurity threats are quickly evolving and becoming more difficult to defend against. The ransomware attack on the city of Atlanta is an example within the public sector of the impact these cybersecurity threats can have. That is why it's imperative for the city to take preventative measures to minimize its vulnerability. Which is why the city is not only making monetary investments to improving IT security infrastructure, but also investing in training its staff. In FY19, we expect to begin rolling out a new identity and access management system, which will provide a unifying way to manage our users' accounts and passwords across all city systems for improved security practices and better control over access to our systems. In an effort to promote transparency and provide exceptional, easy-to-use tools, we'll implement a new solution on how to improve how constituents are able to access and view city council legislation throughout the replacement of our system, the SIRE system. Our digital team continues to empower our workforce, hosting weekly trainings for staff to enable each department and program to reach their constituents through social media, improved web content, and more effective design material. You're starting to see the results of this through more consistently designed city outreach material on social media, and as well as a higher percentage on our boston.gov to meet our plain language goals. In FY19, we are expected to move all of the city's printing to a managed print service. This will result in a reduction of cost on printing goods and services, but also will improve efficiency and City Hall's environmental footprint. The expansion of the city's fiber network will connect every school, public safety facility, public housing, public works, and BCYF sites. This project will give schools the bandwidth they need now and in the future. It will save millions of dollars in service charges. Additionally, it affords the city the opportunity to pursue millions in E-rate funding. To help expand the array of digital equity programs available to Boston residents, we launched a pilot grant program for community organizations. These grants support local organizations in providing access to teach digital skills. These and many other projects are highlighted in the proposed budget materials. The Department of Innovation and Technology is here to help our government, our businesses, and our residents succeed. Our mission is to support the delivery of exceptional services through the use of technology. We're not here simply to provide IT services, but to be a true partner with other cities in creating great outcomes for the city of Boston. I want to close by saying a very heartfelt thank you to all the employees in my department who do this hard, important work every day. Our efforts are not always visible, and they certainly aren't always glamorous. Our work often takes tremendous collaboration, patience, thoughtfulness, and dedication. However, the importance of this work can't be understated. Much of what the employees do every day is the backbone of our work. I'd like to thank one particular employee who retires today after 30 years of service, Jerry Turner.
Oh.
Jerry started as a former data processing, started in the former data processing department as a technician. He moved up, learning the skills needed to lead the network in our Bonet system. Today, his team manages network assets for 140 buildings and over 300 Wi-Fi sites. Over the next 2 years, we expect that number to double. This work could not have happened without Jerry. And lastly, a sincere thank you to the council for contributing to support our department. We're here for any questions.
Thank you very much, and let me join you in congratulating and thanking Jerry for decades of service to the city. And I worked with Jerry, when I first came in on fiber stuff in the neighborhood, and he's seen quite a dramatic change in technology, I would venture to say, over the past 30-plus years of his service. So, Jerry, hats off to you.
Absolutely.
Let me just mention that since shortly after your presentation, we were joined by Councilor Ed Flynn and Councilor Kim Janey. I'm going to recognize Councilor Nisabi George.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you all for being here today. I just have a couple of questions about the Bonet that's been expanded to our schools. Can you tell me how many schools we're at this point? Where we are and where we're heading, sort of the plan?
Sure, Councilor. Currently, there are about 29 schools connected on city fiber, Bonet fiber. The remainder of the schools have been connected with Verizon-managed services. Under this project, we'll connect an additional 83 schools on city dark fiber, and then we'll power that up with a side contract as well.
What's the timeline on getting all schools connected?
We're hoping, we selected a vendor from an RFP process over the past year. We're negotiating a contract that we hope to be able to get approved and move forward beginning in July. That company will be providing fiber to the city as a service, so they will connect all of the buildings. I anticipate that once they get the go, it'll be 18 to 24 months.
All right, and then we'll have 100% coverage
Yes.
at that point. That's great. And then is there any, how closely do you work with the IT services at BPS? And
Very closely.
the SIS system?
Like you managed, BPS manages their SIS system. We do work very closely with BPS as colleagues, but they do manage the system itself.
Well, one of the things I've been working on for the last 2 years or so is a way that we could flag students for the classroom teacher, students that are experiencing homelessness, so that we can get that set up. But I'll continue to plug away with them on that. On the continued expansion of BONET to BHA properties, has that happened?
That will be happening. That will be, we've worked with the BHA to identify sites that they want to connect, and they're trying to connect mostly those sites where they have a demand for services. Again, they have a contract both with Verizon and another point-to-point wireless provider currently for their network management.
And then what about the city-run homeless shelters?
I believe one of the shelters is currently, but I'm not sure of the full inventory, but I could get that answer.
Southampton Street and Woods Mullen.
Okay, we can get that for you.
Both of them are connected through the campus that they are on.
Great. Okay, very good. I'm good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And we've since been joined by Councilor Matt O'Malley. Chair recognizes Councilor Michelle Wu.
Chairman, and good afternoon, everyone. Sorry, I had to step out for a second, so I apologize if it repeats Councilor Sabi George's questions. I want to first just thank all of you. I love working with Do It. Mike, especially over the summer when we were doing our renovations in here, and you were always there with Carrie, making sure that we were all set up to stream from Faneuil Hall, and I feel like there was always some reason to be calling Mike, and it worked out beautifully, so we're really, really grateful. And so much of what you do is kind of central to constituent services now and everything else that we're thinking about. What are you thinking about as it relates to language on the city website, different translations, documents, and how that interfaces with the new language access coordinator or communications access coordinator?
Sure. So our content team works really hard to make sure that all of the language on our site is in plain language, which does allow for better translation services. We're working with language access coordination to make available more languages, both in print and in digital. I don't have exact numbers for you. I can provide something after the meeting, if that'd be helpful.
Okay, great. And the other thing that came up recently in sort of the council business in my committee was our hearing on as-of-right development, and Councilor Janey was there as well. There were lots of questions about notification of particularly a butters notice, and could we start doing it to a wider radius or sign up for a certain list if someone has an interest in a particular project, just so neighbors know what's happening. What's our capability, how many email addresses do we have, and is it sort of profiles for everyone who signs up for something, or what would be the potential there?
Mm-hmm. I don't have the exact number of the email addresses, but I know that our notifications have a wide range through our newsletters and email system. So I can certainly look into, how we could do better notifications, better communication on those efforts, and bring that information.
Yeah, I
back.
think it's part technology and in some ways
Sure.
more policy in terms of how much wider we want to go beyond the current 300-foot radius of notifications, but. People are asking questions, so in some ways I think it would be an efficiency in addition to just more direct civic engagement, just to be able to at least email the civic association heads when something's happening in their neighborhood or something like that.
Sure, absolutely.
And then I think if there's a sort of big picture, 30,000-foot view of security, and we've been reading about other cities getting hacked, and there's a lot of costs to maintaining security while we're trying to push even more stuff online. How are we thinking about that now?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. It's really important to the department right now, and we are taking kind of this two-pronged approach of making sure that all of our systems are secure, but also doing a broad outreach of education to all of our users to make sure that they understand not to fall for phishing campaigns, not to click on links, and that is really kind of a full effort. So our cybersecurity team this past year has worked with all departments to make sure that they receive cybersecurity training so that all users have an understanding of the risks that are available. And then, we are continuing to invest in cybersecurity tools, most notably through our identity and access management project that will go live in August of this year, which will allow for a much more single sign-on secure environment.
So are there certain team members now who are focused solely on cybersecurity?
Yes, yeah, we have a dedicated team of about 6 members, and then, that grows as we work on different projects.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Councilor Ed Flynn.
Thank you, Council CMO. And before I ask questions, I just also want to say congratulations to Jerry Turner. He's someone I know very well in South Boston. He's a decorated Vietnam veteran, well-respected, does a lot for our veterans community. So just want to wish him the best of luck, to him and his family as well. My question relates to broadband equity, internet access. What are we doing specifically to ensure that people in public housing also have internet access that is the same as other places outside of public housing?
Thank you, Councilor. There are a couple of different initiatives that are underway. As you know, Comcast is the incumbent cable provider in the city of Boston, and Comcast has expanded at the city's pushing a program they call Internet Essentials, which is the affordable broadband access. I think it's $9.99 a month for this service, and that is now made available to all BHA facilities and residents. In addition to that, as you know, the competitive cable provider in the city of Boston is Verizon, and Verizon had just this summer reached agreement with the BHA to aggressively pursue deploying inside all of the developments that are inside their footprint in the city, and that is now more than half the city. And I know they're very eager to serve the clients.
Thank you. And as it relates to the website itself, languages other than English, how are we doing in reaching people, say in Chinatown that speak Cantonese or Spanish in other neighborhoods, French? What are some of the results, and what do we need to improve on?
Sure. We had mentioned previously that we work very hard to make sure that the language is, all of the language on boston.gov is written in plain language, which it has a 5th grade reading level, which makes it for a bit easier translated services. We're also working with the language access coordinators here in the city to expand all translations, both on print and on the web.
Thank you, and I'm glad you were talking also about cybersecurity. For about 25 years, I had the opportunity to work in the U.S. Navy, and I worked on this issue. But are you working with state and federal officials as well on cybersecurity issues and, communicating with them on best practices? We
are. We lean very heavily on those relationships. In fact, we were the recipient of the MSI SAC award for cybersecurity on our website this past year. So we keep in collaboration with both local agencies and the best practices from the feds.
Thank you for taking my questions.
Thank you. Councilor O'Malley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to work with all of you, and congratulations on your new position. I always look forward to this hearing, among all of them, just to hear about some of the impressive and innovative things that are happening, so thank you all. A couple of quick questions. First, the operating budget's up about 3.5%, which is a little over $1 million. External funds are down 16.5%, which is about $860,000. Can you talk a little bit about, was that the increase with the enterprise applications, what is that?
I'll let Eddie actually.
Okay.
Yeah, so a big piece of our increase has to do with our personnel line. So big thing is continue to invest in people. But on top of all of that, we also had our SENA workforce and SEIU workforce, the collective bargaining agreements came into play, or got finalized over the last year. So a big piece of our increase is going to our permanent employees line.
How many employees do you have? I'm sorry to cut you off, but we're trying to. How many employees total?
We have 163 employees.
And is that around ballpark level of last year and the year before, or has it grown?
It's a growth of about 4.
Oh, okay, so fairly level. And so the bulk of that, almost $2 million, comes from collective bargaining agreements. So what percentage of your workforce are unionized?
I would say
A
about
large amount. I
90.
think there's, I think
Vast,
there are
vast
8 of us.
majority.
that are-
Okay, well, good. And how long is the contract that was just negotiated with them?
I think of another 3 years. Yeah.
Terrific, well done, okay. And then core infrastructure is seeing about $1 million decrease. Is that just because costs were exaggerated in the last year building the new website interface?
Yeah, one thing we've been trying to do is realign costs too that fit more specifically under the groups as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's more or less just we had charges that fit under core infrastructure, but as we build out our teams, realized that it aligned better whether it's under our data analytics team, which continues to grow, our digital team, so it's just a little bit shifting of funds.
Okay, great. Do you manage all the sort of bill pay apparatus, I assume, for property taxes, parking tickets, that manages the online bill pay?
We, through a contracted relationship, yes.
And do we have the same vendor for all city services?
I'm aware of 2, but I can get back to you in
Okay,
regards to
just
kind
more
of the
curious.
specifics of it.
Every year since I've been here, I've asked because I have one wonderful constituent who bemoans the fact that Boston Water and Sewer does not accept auto pay.
Yeah.
That changed. There was an email he sent me literally this morning saying they now accept auto pay, and he's delighted, and I'm delighted. Obviously, Boston Water and Sewer is a quasi-public agency. But I guess this is both a question and a statement, because this isn't so much you guys, but I will bring this up at transportation. It is beyond frustrating to me that certain contractors with whom we do business that are tow companies won't accept debit cards to pay for tows. I think that is unconscionable. I think we should cease all contracts with any tow company, and as you can tell from the tone of my questions, I was towed and learned this the hard way. Rightfully towed and happy to pay it, but it's just, I'd love to see do it really sort of run technologically sort of guidance to every vendor with whom we work to make sure that residents have the ability to pay online using their debit cards. I understand with credit cards. I even understand with checks, but a debit card is the same as cash. And so I will be asking that. That's not you guys, but I will be hopefully adding a little more work to you, and hopefully we
That's
can
helpful. Thank you.
we can make sure you have enough staffing. Tell me a little bit about the Citizens Connect, the 311 app, which I am a big proponent of. How many users currently use 311, do you know?
That's a great question. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head.
Well, I'd love just to see sort of
Sure.
how it's grown with sort of, and how we can continue to grow that and make sure that you guys have the great supports. I think it is one of the best things that we do. I mean, I use it, if not a daily basis, 3 or 4 times a week. I will use it with something and
We
encourage others to
appreciate
do so too. Are there any other, I always asked your predecessor this question, sort of things in the pipeline, looking at technology or looking at apps, there was one thing, I know Boston's Safest Driver we did last year or 2 years ago, and she was from West Roxbury, which I'm very proud of.
Yeah.
There was also a beta sort of thing that was being done that would measure potholes, basically an app that you'd use with your phone as you drove. Can you talk, is that still in the works?
Sure, that's more of my colleagues in Mayor's Office of New Urban Mechanics are managing that a bit more, but we're always looking to kind of the most innovative technologies that are happening so that we can stay relevant and stay on the market. So we work with all sorts of people, mostly local, to determine where we should be going, how we connect with our constituents to see what their needs are, and then we make sure that we have the right talent in-house to continue to advocate for those.
Do you think, I know the answer you have to probably say is yes, but Blink twice if the answer is no. Do you think that more and more people are using and embracing technology? Maybe it's time we grow your department a bit so we can meet the demand and the need and services we offer?
Sure, I do. I think we have an incredibly talented group of people who work
No
for us.
question. And two of whom are sitting with you today, absolutely.
Agreed. You know, yes, we see things are moving more online, and they're moving to more digital, and also our residents have the expectation of, you know, having seamless, beautiful applications work for them that the city provides, and we're there, and we're doing it really well. Yes, of course, we're going to continue to grow and see areas for improvement, particularly in cybersecurity, which a number of people have mentioned today, but we definitely have kept up with the market in regards to data analysis and analytics, as well as digital, to continue.
No, I think you have to. I think you do a remarkable job. Your
Thank
team
you.
does a remarkable job. Credit to Diana Orthman, who's been my go-to for 8
Agreed.
years. Really appreciate it. I am hoping to see Boston create its own municipal broadband someday. So I'm going to push, because I know you guys can do it, and push that we can grow your department to serve more people. So
Great.
thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Councilman.
Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor O'Malley. Question on the citywide radio system. Can you give us an overview of where we're at with the study and any future steps?
Sure, I'll actually defer to my colleague Eddie on that.
Yeah, so a lot of this past fiscal year, we spent a lot of time inventory gathering, mapping out our networks, working with the public safety agencies to really work towards a really robust RFP is kind of our plan right now. So my hope is over the next few months, you'll see a release of a request for proposals, essentially for someone to come in, take that info, and help more or less advise us on the path forward. I think the city's making a lot of big investments on the radio front. We will make sure we're getting it right. It's also technology that's continuously evolving, so we want to make sure we have the right direction. So.
Right, great. Councilor Savi-George?
Thank you. And this morning, we had our hearing with D&D, and one of the topics of conversation was the Metro list and the work that your department has done to digitize that list. Can you talk a little bit about the improvements over the last year and what the longer-range plans are for the Metro list?
Sure. You know, I'm going to have to get back to you on some of the specifics for the long term, but I know that our digital team has worked very hard to make it much more accessible and easier to use, so that people have an understanding of when a home is available. So it's a quicker turnaround. I'm not sure what the long-term plans are for the piece of software, so I can get back to you on that.
Great. One of the things that I hope for, and we had a hearing about it last year, was a way to connect the units that come through the BPDA and some of the affordable units with the new development, but then also that Metro list, if there was a way to online streamline the process of applying for affordable rentals and homeownership opportunities. And I'm not sure if I know there was an app or a common application that was suggested and I think used to a pre-app, I think is what they called it,
Okay.
D&D. And I'm not sure what role you play in that effort.
Sure. D&D has an incredible, talented technology staff that does the research for all of these, and then we help support them on the infrastructure side. So I would have to get back to you, and I don't know the specifics and where we stand with that.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks. Councilor Wu? Good. Well, I just want to say thank you, Chief,
Interim.
and Ed and Mike. We're going to adjourn this and then take 5 and come back. We just have to do some tech stuff back here, and we'll come
Perfect.
back with the PEG fund.
Great.
We just want to, again, close in thanking you and your incredibly talented staff for all you do. Over these 10 years that I've been a counselor, I know that we've achieved great efficiencies with government, and our citizens should be proud of what we do on the technology level, but it filters all the way down to the guys filling the potholes, and we're getting great efficiencies from all your efforts. So thank you. This hearing is adjourned. They just have to change. And Means and the Alston Brighton District City Councilor. I'd like to remind folks this is a public hearing being both broadcast and recorded on RCN Channel 82, Comcast Channel 8, and Verizon 1964, and streamed at boston.gov/city-council-TV. I'd ask folks in the chamber to silence their electronic devices. At the conclusion of the presentation from the department, questions and answers from my colleagues. We will take public testimony. There's a sign-in sheet to my left. Ask that you state your name, affiliation, residence, and check off the box if you wish to testify. We are here regarding docket 0584. Message in order approving an appropriation in the amount of $4,400,000 from the 21st Century Fund, also known as the Public Educational or Governmental Access and Cable-Related Fund, pursuant to Section 53F3/4 of Chapter 44 of the General Laws, to the PEG Access and Cable-Related Grant for cable-related purposes consistent with the franchise agreement between the cable operator and the city, including but not limited to supporting public educational or governmental access cable television services, monitoring compliance of cable operator with the franchise agreement, or preparation for renewal of the franchise license. I am joined to my immediate right by Councilor-at-Large Anissa Sabi George, and with that, I'll hand it over to Chief.
Great. Mike is going to present on this.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you might recall, last year was the first year of funding under the new special fund. The fund was established to support Boston Neighborhood Network News and Technology Goes Home. Technology Goes Home is an external digital equity program that, through a broad range of connections, I believe it's 32 outlets, has training in what they call live, learn, work, and play, the ability to get online for families, small businesses, minority-owned businesses, and actually, keep looking to my right because Theo Hanna is here, and she is much more literate on describing their activities than I am. Also, the funding supports Boston Neighborhood Network News. Indirectly, it also supports some of the AV services that are provided here in the City Council chambers, for instance. As you know, Neighborhood Network News is comprised really of four to five channels of access programming in the new low-power FM radio station, WBCA, which operates nightly in Boston from 6 p.m. till 2 in the morning. There's additional moderate amount of funding here to support the anticipated funding needed for the fiber network as we go forward. We find as we build out fiber to all of these buildings, we're constantly needing to relocate, and sometimes we have to provide some compensation to either the phone company or the cable company if they're moving some of our lines for us. Great. Thank you.
Thank you. And we've since been joined by Councilor Kim Janey. Could you break down some of, so it's a $4.4 million grant, and so far it started last year, continues this year, and how many more years will we be eligible for this?
The money is directly funded by the cable fees one finds on their cable television bill. As long as those fees continue, I suspect the fund will be in existence. Historically, Boston Neighborhood Network has been around since 1982 and is going strong. They've acquired their own building at Eggleston Square. They manage two TV stations out of there, as well as the radio station. They also have a media center there that is connected with Tech Goes Home and another program called Timothy Smith Network to provide some training on digital platforms. They're a very strong, robust outfit. They also, I believe everyone here in the council knows that they run and support and staff Neighborhood Network News over at 640 Commonwealth Avenue, which is, although it is housed in the BU, it is actually a piece of Boston Neighborhood Network. I hope they're around forever. They do a fabulous job of promoting the good news coming out of Boston's neighborhoods.
Right, agreed. Councilor Sabi George?
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks. Councilor Janey?
Hi, thank you. First, I would say Congratulations to Jerry. I didn't get to do that earlier, so on his retirement. And shout out to all the folks over at Neighborhood Network News. A special shout out to Chris Levitt. I had a question. So if this is being funded through the cable fees on the cable bill, how has there been a decrease with cable, seeing that we have so many other options through Netflix, through Amazon, through Hulu, through Roku, through all of these other devices, or are the cable companies just upping the bill?
You
the
raise a
fee.
good question, Counselor. I think perhaps Boston is unique at this point. I'd like to think it's because of the work of people like Boston Neighborhood Network News, who provide us an element of resource that no one else in a broadcast-rich community like Boston provides. Other cities are experiencing a dwindling of funds from the cable TV related fee. That fee is only attached to your cable TV bill. It is not attached to your broadband bill. However, in the last 5 years, some communities like Seattle have gone down 10%. Boston has not.
And why is that? Is that because the fee has gone up so that the fewer people who have cable are now paying the difference for those who have abandoned cable?
It's unclear. Boston has a couple of affordable senior packages and affordable packages for cable TV that may contribute to a continuing loyalty. As an outlet through organizations like BNN, I believe some people want to hear news about Boston, and actually 5 channels of TV do provide them with that on the cable system. Lastly, I think we're a very media-rich market in Boston. I think we are the number 7 market in the country, and that gives us a truly inflated sense of value. People like their local news here.
Yeah, I'm always amazed by the number of people who watch the local channels. Is this something, though, that we have to worry about in terms of 5 years down the road?
We look closely every month.
Okay. All right, thank you. I have no other questions.
Thanks. Just before we adjourn, I just was wondering, can you give us an update on the Verizon rollout?
Yes, Counselor. As you know, Verizon signed a cable franchise with the mayor in December of 2016, came back in about 7 or 8 months later and said, we like so much what we're doing in 1/3 of the city, we want to do it in more than half of the city, and they signed that agreement just last year. They are doing very well. As you probably know, coming in and out of work every day, they are on every street upgrading their plant. Verizon has many different business units. You know, they have Fios TV, Fios Broadband, business services, plain old telephone service, the POT service that we've always had, and their wireless entity. And the fiber platform that runs all of those is being massively invested across the city. I think when Verizon came into the city, they said that they would be spending $300 million on this project. In reality, I think they may be coming close to double that figure. Their growth, they seem very pleased with their growth and their outreach on the Fios product. And I know that they are poised to do well on their wireless.
Right, right. To that point, building that infrastructure out, I remember, or recall during the hearings, we talked about, as they're rolling out their fiber, is there ways we can piggyback and kind of take advantage of them improving their infrastructure to improve ours?
Thank you for mentioning it, Councilor, because we did not. As you may remember, Comcast system provides dark fiber, the beginning of our BONET, to 130 buildings. Verizon, when they signed the cable license with the city, initially agreed to proportionally provide, I think it was 27 buildings with dark fiber, a somewhat unheard of concession from Verizon. So we're very pleased to get that in the city of Boston. And of course, when they amended their license just last year, they doubled that number as well. So while we have our fiber project connecting buildings with a long-term lease, we also have a contribution from Verizon Fiber, which I think will give us a very solid network going forward.
Great. Well, listen, again, I just want to echo what everybody said. We appreciate all the great work that your team do on a daily basis to keep our city running smoothly, sharing information robustly, and we're going to drop that I soon, right?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, and this hearing stands adjourned.
Thank you.